I would say the emphasis for Silicon Valley-based companies probably continues to be the U.S. market. And I would say historically, the U.S. commerce market and so forth has always been one of the largest globally. But I think our perspective, if you look at the growth in China, if you look at the growth in Asia in general, and you also look at what's happening in Europe, there are many, many exciting markets. And I think the technology is democratizing the ability for companies like us to be able to access those markets more readily. We were invited by Hiroshi Mikitani, and to be fair, at the time, I wasn't familiar with Rakuten, and had the opportunity to interact with the engineering teams that he had brought in, but we also had the opportunity to interact with him personally, but also with the executive team and share some of our vision, talking to one of the largest e-commerce companies in the world. And what we found was a really interesting dialogue. We found that we thought the same way about things. And over the next couple of years, as we continued to grow our company, that relationship began to grow. We enjoyed those conversations and felt like, unlike, as entrepreneurs, we like to think big, but I'm not sure we think as big as Mickey did. And we liked that he was willing to expand even our vision of what we wanted to do. So from a partnership perspective, it just made a lot of sense. There was already good chemistry. We had a working relationship. We first had Rakuten as an investor, and then later ultimately decided to join forces with the organization. Mickey is one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world. And his perspectives are, quite frankly, different than many of the perspectives we hear in the Valley. So for us, the ability to interact with him and the ability to hear and be able to discuss what his future was for where things are going and share what we believe the future was actually very interesting, because it was a different set of conversations than we normally have. And I think in large part, for us, this was something that forced us to think more broadly about our business, and we appreciate that. So yeah, I do think it would be valuable, but I wouldn't say that it was us interacting with a Japanese company. I would say it was us interacting with a really compelling entrepreneur who had a strong vision. That was what we found interesting. It was only later that we really began to learn about the scope of what Rakuten does globally, but that just further supported the relationship that we had already built. I don't think that there's any difference between a Silicon Valley startup trying to solve a problem and a team from Japan trying to solve the problem. You have to have a unique perspective on what the solution is. So, I think in many ways, given that the experiences that, an engineering team or an entrepreneurial team sitting in, let's say, Tokyo is going to have, and the way that people interact with technology is fundamentally different, I actually think that it's those differences that can create unique opportunities in entering a new market, because you don't have everybody thinking the same way. So I do think there's a great opportunity, but it requires, there's a significant effort to leave something you're comfortable with and to go to a place that's new and different. It requires a certain amount of courage and a certain amount of, real desire to build something in that market. But I don't think anyone's at a disadvantage. In fact, I think it's those differences that create opportunity.